Ahoy friends, welcome to Building the Alpha Dory. I'm Dan, and this is a video series recording the construction of a Beachcomber Alpha racing dory from John Gardner's The Dory Book, illustrations by Sam Manning. Today we'll be out in the shop and hopefully finishing up cutting the blocking for the rails, and maybe get to the inner rail, the band that runs along the inside. We'll see. Anyway, let's get out there and get to it. Got the ice boat out here, still under wraps. Haven't given up hope of getting her out yet this season. We'll see. All the snow's gone, so yeah, we're looking in good shape. If it would just get cold and stay cold. It's been in the 60s. Like every third day has gone up to 60 for almost the past week. So yeah, we're in a good spot ice-wise, but we just need to get some cold temperatures for a few days anyway. It's right around 18 right now, so I've got the oil burner running in here. But let's see, two days ago it was 60, and then it's supposed to go into the 50s tomorrow, and then 40s the next day, and then back into the 20s and teens for the next 3 days. So yeah, it's looking like, but then there's potential snow Thursday or Friday, which is 4 days from now, so I don't know if we'll get to go sailing Saturday or not. We'll see if there's still ice, but there's ice right now, so anyway, that's a good sign. Alright, so yeah, right now we're we gotta get the transom cleat on before we can finish these rails, because the transom cleat goes under the rail goes on top of it, but the transom cleat's gotta go on first. So I'm going to mark this transom cleat with this compass I've got. Center line, there we go. Center line. Alright, so that's a decent arc drawn on there. Now I can cut that arc on the bandsaw and then install this cleat directly on the transom of the dory, and this will keep that cleat from the transom from warping or cracking once it's fastened down. So let's move you guys off the saw and get that saw fired up. Actually, the line was so close to what's already to the edge of the piece of wood, I really can't cut it on the bandsaw after all. So, alright, that's got it. Alright, so you can see we're right to the line there. Alright, so the other side of the arc, we will cut on the bandsaw because we're going to be removing plenty of wood there. Now let's see if we can figure out exactly how we've got to cut this. Shouldn't be too tough, right? Famous last words. Alright, so we know one thing for sure. We want the cut of the wood to face downward on the transom. The wood is cupped on this side at the moment, and it looks like the annular growth rings are going in this direction, which would mean this is the outside of the tree, which makes a ton of sense because of the old saying, insides out. So we want to put like I say, the growth rings are going like this, so this is the inside of the tree, and this is the side that's bowed even now, so it's cupped in the right direction, so we want the insides out. And so what that means is, oh, ouch, let's see. I may have to redraw this line, because if the insides are going to go out, then that means we have to bevel this cut in this direction. And I've drawn this line too close to the edge of the board to get that bevel in. So let me remark that line, which should just take an instant or two. All I've got to do, it says here, is find the square. Oh shoot, maybe I can show this too. Find the square on the center line. Alright, and then get it back to square again. Alright, and then go ahead and take my thinking that may give us enough. So the board's about an inch thick, so I want the arc drawn about an inch in, because we're going to be beveling at a 45-degree angle when we cut this. Alright, so I've struck the line further in, so we'll be cutting somewhere between those two. And I'm going to draw one a little bit further out. Where's my ruler? That's the problem. I'm trying to do this without measuring. So okay, so the board's an inch and a tiny bit. So what I want to do is measure. Actually, I'm pretty close on this inner line. While we're down here, I'll draw one more line. I'll measure in 1 inch and a tiny bit. And since I'm cutting a 45, if I strike this line, there we go. That looks about perfect. If I strike this line 1 inch in, when we cut out the 45, we'll just run out of wood as the cut runs out. Okay, I'm going to do this as quick as I can because I hate to leave the door open with the heater running. Feel that cold air coming right in. So, next thing to do is knock this table over to 45 degrees. Adjust the blade guide so that I'm good to go there. And go ahead and make that cut. And I'll cut it a little bit big just so that I get as much wood into the you can see I actually ran off the board a little bit, so that's fine though. We'll be able to plane that back. Yeah, so that gave us our angle, and now we just need to cut the ends to the right length, and now we've got a perfect piece to go right onto the hull of the boat. Onto the transom, just as soon as cliffhanger, just as soon as we run it through the planer. Not something I love to do in the shop, but there's so little wood here that it actually makes a lot of sense to just do it inside. In case you guys have been watching for a while, the planer modification I did has really helped out with the cranking on this thing. It was difficult to crank to the point of I was worried that I was going to break the little kind of wimpy plastic gears that transfer the crank from one height adjustment screw to the other on the planer, and it's just a little Craftsman portable planer, but it was super difficult to crank, and yeah, I was afraid that I was going to damage something, but it just turned out that I made up some basically like little plastic bushings out of sliced up a milk jug, and put those on the clamps that hold the crossbar that transfer the cranking from one vertical screw to the other lift screw. Oiled those, and then oiled the base of each of the lift screws where it goes into the machine, because apparently there's some sort of a little tension ring, a little snap ring that's set in a groove on those screws that's between the base plate and a covering plate that goes over those cranks, and there must have been a ton of friction on those things, so I put some oil in there, and all of a sudden, you know, it's like I had the whole thing apart a couple times, and it was just kind of a mystery until I oiled those, and then it started working. So let me grab the clamp the weight that I used to hold the height adjustment clamp, and we'll fire this thing up and see how it goes. Yeah, so I ended up taking 3 passes instead of 2, but yeah, that did it. So, alright, let's see if we can go measure the length and the angles to cut them. Okay, well, change of plans again. So I just went in to take a peek at what Gardner's got in his book for the transom cleat, and I think you can see it right here. Cutout for gunnel. Bead run to outer face of transom. Okay, fine. We can do that either way. But then gunnel notched through cleat. So I was gonna land the rail on the cleat. But what Gardner's saying is that the rail runs up to the transom, and then the cleat is notched around the rail, which does make some sense, I guess. I mean, it's definitely not crazy. So, yeah, alright, change of plan. We got this cut out anyway. So, we've got the transom cleat. I'm not going to cut it to size until I get the rail in there, because I don't know exactly how wide the rail will be until it's on the boat. So, back to cutting out blocking for the rails, I guess. sometimes that's just how it goes in the shop. You never know what you're going to run into, but yeah, so okay, so we got the cleat made anyhow, so it's ready to be cut to size, notched for the rail, and go in at a moment's notice. Yeah, so let's get back to finishing up the blocking, and then we'll be ready to put those rails on just as soon as we get the inner rail cut out and scarfed. We're going to need to grab a plank or two out of the loft to do that, but it should be beautiful scarfing weather in the next day or two, good gluing weather. So we want to get all this rail stuff ready to go so we can just bang it out at a moment's notice as soon as the weather turns warm enough for gluing. Oh, just one more thought. Make sure to keep your glue indoors whenever and wherever possible if it's going to go anywhere near freezing, because that at least the Titebond wood glues, and pretty much any wood glue with that's water based, is going to have a negative effect in freezing temperatures. Alright, so get back to rail blocking. So the first thing I need to do is cut some more cut the bow block here. I've got it rough cut, and now I'm just going to take it down to its finished shape. Over to the bench and clean it up with the plane. And it'll be ready to cut to length and go in the boat. Some folks might actually get out one of those gorgeous compass planes at this point. Because we are cutting a concave surface. The other thing is, if you don't have one of those planes, which actually tend to cost a pretty penny, the typical way to overcome that on a surface like this anyway is to just turn your regular hand plane to an angle, slight angle, and it'll actually it'll cut into that curve just fine. too much of an angle, too much of a curve, too tight a radius, and it's not going to work quite right. But for this much of a radius, it'll work just fine. Alright, so we got that cleaned up. Looks good. And all I was doing here, as you guys can see, is I'm using the other side of the bow section just to back up the thin part there while I was cutting that, planing that, just to support it. So, alright, so that's the bow section, both bow sections cut to shape. We got to cut those to length. I think all of these sections still need to be cut to length as well. Nope, this one's cut to length already. So this one's good to go. Let's see. I'm not sure I have a blocking cut for this next one forward. Wait, yeah, I think I do. Maybe. We'll have to test fit that in there. I had this out the other day. I don't know if you guys noticed this sort of junky piece of cardboard just kicking around the bottom of the boat, but it's actually a bit of a, no, I guess this doesn't go in here. It's a bit of a pattern for the centerboard trunk. This may go here. It looks like it does. Yeah, it doesn't fit there. Yeah, so this one still needs to be cut to length. Alright, we're good to go there. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, there's a section across the boat. Let me go grab that. Alright, so we've got another piece here. This is the stern starboard. Looks like we've got a piece here. Yeah, this is the center bay amidships. Alright, and we got the blocking for the forward bay on this side. Okay, and we've got enough wood. Wow, just enough wood. Let's see. Yeah, we got enough wood in this piece here to make this blocking aft. Alright, and this is already planed down, a little bit smaller than a full inch, but that's okay. We'll just have to make sure that when we nail that on, we get it right to the rail so that we don't have to plane those ones that are already planed. The ones that are rough, I'm going to leave rough and plane them once we get the rail on, just so I can take everything down to the height of the rail. So what are we missing? We've got this port bow blocking. This needs to be cut to length as well. So the only block we're missing is the forward, starboard. I thought we had something for that, but let's see here. See what else we can find that might do the trick. Oh, so here's a bit of board that's definitely got some good wood in it. You can see some sapwood right along this edge here, the lighter colored areas. And we got plenty of good wood in this section. So let's set that over there and see if we can't trace that for, yeah, just making sure that it's tough to keep track of all these all these bits and pieces over the years or over the weeks or however long it's been since I was last cutting stuff for the boat here. And like I said, this piece here is too short, so this is what we were saving for, what do you call it? This is what we were saving special for floorboard material. That's the name of them. Alright. Great. Scots. Okay, yeah, this will work well. We got plenty of wood here. Let's move it in a little bit. And all I'm going to have to do is just trace this. And I can actually trace, like I was mentioning to you folks before, I'll trace the frame lengths on the inside. That way we know exactly where the frames have got to go. And then I'll trace the curvature of the okay, looks good. We'll just bring this over to the bandy saw. And before we actually bandsaw it, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just chop it off close to its final length, because yeah, we're definitely gonna put some of this wood into floorboards. But what I want to do is I want to get it close to its final length so that I can cut the ends. Makes it a lot easier to handle on the saw too. Someone remind me to get this saw sharpened. Alright. Okay, and you guys are right on the bandsaw, so we'll need to move you out the way. Yeah, this is a pretty decent bandsaw. It was out in the elements for a number of decades, but it's kind of got it back up and running in pretty decent shape, actually. Was able to free up the little guide wheels and whatnot, and the little bits of brass that hold the blade in place. Brand new blades, of course, so that's part of the saw you can't really restore. It didn't have a blade on it when I got it anyway, but didn't have a motor either, so I had to scrounge up one of these old-timey electric motors and just yeah, does the trick. It's a 1/2 horsepower, so you heard it slowing down a bit when we were cutting the oak, but it does the job. Thanks for dropping by, building the Alpha Dory. Massive thank you to everyone who's liked, subscribed, and supported the channel. Couldn't be doing this without you guys. Yeah, I'm considering going to 3 uploads per week. It seems that that the YouTube algorithm has been giving me a few more views on 3 videos a week as opposed to 5, so we'll see how that goes. Kind of depends on the amount that I'm recording as well, if I have to get stuff off my camera. So yeah, but either way, you know, drop a line in the comments to let me know what you think about that, if you've got preferences either way. And look forward to hearing from you next and seeing you guys next video. Talk to you later.